Getting paid $10,000 a day to stay in a grocery store or a prison, as long as you don't walk out the door, the cash keeps rolling in. These free lunch survival challenges are arguably the most attention-grabbing gimmicks in MrBeast's videos. But the moment you apply even a tiny bit of real-world common sense, you'll realize the underlying logic of these videos is riddled with plot holes. Honestly, it feels like an insult to the intelligence of everyday working folks. Take the $10,000 a day in a grocery store video, for example. The protagonist lasted 45 days and was looking at a sweet $450,000 payout. Yet, he ultimately tapped out in tears, claiming he just couldn't bear being away from his family anymore due to loneliness and boredom. When you watch that scene, doesn't it strike you as utterly absurd? Look at our real society. People who have to work far from home long term are everywhere. Construction workers who leave their hometowns just to make a few extra grand, deep-sea sailors drifting on the ocean for over half a year without even a cell signal, or even soldiers deploying to war zones, risking their lives on missions for years, with no guarantee they'll ever return alive. These people, who are genuinely struggling on the survival line, don't enjoy anything close to the luxurious conditions of that locked room. They sleep on hard plank beds, eat cold meals, and face actual physical limits and mortal danger. For them, just hustling to make a living and survive drains all their energy. Who has the time to worry about trivial, luxury emotions like loneliness and boredom? Most importantly, even working themselves to the bone, these real-life workers will never see astronomical rewards like $10,000 a day. Meanwhile, MrBeast challengers are put up in comfortable buildings with endless food, drinks, AC, hot showers, and even entertainment setups, only to have mental breakdowns just because they missed their families or missed a relative's birthday. It genuinely makes you wonder, have the people handpicked by the production team never experienced a single hardship in their lives? Have they been physically conjoined with their spouses since the day they got married, never spending a single day apart? The family visit absurdity. What's even harder to wrap your head around are the family members who are periodically brought in to visit. This is arguably the most anti-human nature segment of the entire video. When the families visit, they universally stand behind the glass saying, "I miss you so much. Please come out soon," acting as if they'd gladly forfeit a massive $10,000 a day payout just to have the protagonist home. Forgive me, but I have never met a family in the real world that treats money like dirt to that extent. We are all regular people. We need to eat, pay off mortgages and car loans, and put our kids through school. If your husband or wife was in there making around $10,000 a day, the visiting spouse would absolutely be banging on the glass, screaming, "You better die in there before you step out. Bleed that boss dry." Our family's chance at generational wealth relies entirely on you doing this prison time. That is raw human nature. The fake, "I just want your company, not the money," empathy displayed by the families in these videos is enough to give you goosebumps. Let's also scrutinize the challengers' backgrounds from a workplace and economic perspective. Many protagonists start off by playing the sympathy card, claiming they took on the challenge to feed their families or make rent. Okay, if you're struggling to pay rent, that implies you're a standard working class employee. Here's the problem. What kind of real-world job allows a bottom-tier employee to take dozens of days off to play a game, all while keeping their position open and not firing them? Capitalists are not philanthropists. If you are a replaceable cog in the corporate machine and you take more than 10 days off, your cubicle will already be occupied by a new hire. Therefore, if this challenger is truly in it for the money, they must have either quit their job or been unemployed to begin with. Having already burned their bridges, how could they possibly walk away so easily from a dream gig that pays $10,000 a day for doing absolutely nothing? On the flip side, if this person was a CEO already making over $10,000 a day, they wouldn't have the free time to come here and subject themselves to this. The identities and behaviors of the challengers simply do not hold up to real-world logic. Finally, let's look at the casting mechanism behind the scenes. In massive hundreds of people challenges, there are indeed many uncontrollable random factors that can get you eliminated. But in these solo or duo locked room challenges, as long as the challenger doesn't say stop, the game could theoretically go on forever. Some might argue that staying in a confined space for too long will inevitably cause mental breakdowns. If so, I have to question just how incredibly fragile these challengers' psyches are. Just look at genuine wilderness survival shows like Ed Stafford or the absolute beasts on the show alone. Every day they battle freezing temperatures, struggle for food and clean water, and constantly fend off wild animal attacks. In brutal, life-threatening wilderness environments, they can tough it out alone for over 100 days. By comparison, the environments MrBeast provides are practically heaven. You're in a warm, comfortable place with abundant food, a bed, showers, and occasional visits from the host or even your family. And you can't handle it after a few dozen days? Let's be brutally honest. If the production team invited a hardcore introvert who loves staying home, reading, and playing single-player video games, that guy would literally bankrupt MrBeast. Therefore, to prevent the prize pool from inflating infinitely and the video runtime from spiraling out of control, the production team must employ a strict reverse screening mechanism. They purposely cast highly emotional, mentally fragile extroverts who cannot go a second without socializing, cannot sit still to read a book, and whose only coping mechanism is destroying props. Then, right when the budget is approaching its limit, the producers use family visits as a catalyst to psychologically break the challengers, prompting them to voluntarily quit. So, stop buying into these so-called ultimate survival challenges. They aren't profound tests of human nature. They are simply tightly scripted, budget-controlled reality shows masquerading as massive cash giveaways.